Yeah, it's recording. Yeah. Yeah, since already a few times, yeah. Like this for me as well, like this, if I have to write, once, if I have the time to write, I can listen to it again.
Because I think a few weeks ago, that's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, maybe at the time I did not. No, but the last few shiur in my years, maybe at the time I did, yeah. People can change their minds. Maybe, but I didn't want to send out. Okay, I'll this week we are already on the fourth mitzvah. So normally I have shiur in my Hayag mitzvahs, and so I start from the first. Or if you remember, then I spoke about the Mitzvah, and then about Danoshe, and then now it's about the fourth mitzvah, which is about the Kiddush Hachodesh. To this Shabbos, I think Parshas Boero, we will be Mevoch in Hachodesh, or we will say the Moilad Vetzan particular time, and so I'll start with that because there is a big discussion in the Moina mitzvahs, the ones that were counting the Tag mitzvahs, if how many mitzvahs is Kiddush Hachodesh. So most of the Goinim, but also after the Rambam, they count the mitzvahs, two different mitzvahs. So one of them is the Kiddush HaChodesh, which means that how long will it be a month? 30 days or 31, 29 days or 30 days. And the other mitzvah is how long will be a year, 12 months or 13 months. So it's kind of an Ibur Shono. And to know the Ibur Shono, you also need to calculate the kupos, you need to calculate the mazulas, you need to calculate also the moon, etc. All kind of things that you need to calculate. And they learn the mitzvah of Ibur Shono. Some of them learn the mitzvah in the posuk that it is important that we know the mathematics behind the calendar. It's mitzvahs say according to them to know the mathematics behind the calendar. Mitzvah say the Reise, both the Goinim and also some of the Rishonim after the Rambam. So they counted as two mitzvahs. And so the reason, some explain that the reason why we are saying the Moilad Betzain is because there is a mitzvah on each of us, one of us, to calculate each month some parts of the calendar, which can be the Moilad. And so the Gabber tells us, basically, we made the right correction. The calculation is right. And so to make a check, or that at least you should know it. Yeah. Yeah. So this question was asked to me 2 weeks ago by a dying in Antwerp. And actually it shows that the question itself shows that they don't understand what the Moilad is. That's why the shiur is to give you an answer to that question. Yeah. So
we have 2 days in Chush La'aretz of Yom Tov.
Yeah, but no. But even the word Moilad that we have today is has nothing to do. So the 99% of the people think that when the Gabba says the Moilad Betzain, I don't know, whatever, then if they will go somewhere outside this time, whether it is Yerushalayim or in Iraq, they all think that it will be when they will see the Moilad. They will see the Moilad. 99% think like that. What? Yeah, okay. So let's say, so they think that if they would go 6 hours later and they will go and they will see it, then they will find exactly the Moilad when the Gabba said it in Shul. The problem with that is that, to be honest, it's even a bit childish because that would mean, how do you calculate the Moilad? How do we know how the Moilad will be now? How does the Gabba, he doesn't have a luach, how does he know? Takes the previous Moilad, when Gabba said previous month, and he adds exactly 29 days, 12 hours, and 793 Chavokit. If he does that, then exactly this is the exact number. So there is a constant between the two every Moilad. And now everybody knows that it is very complicated to know when the moon will appear again, because the world is turning around the sun. Depends on the position of the world towards the sun. And the world is not turning around the sun in an equal circle, but it's in an elliptic form. So there is movement. There is also the moon is turning around the earth in an elliptic movement. There is the earth itself is not stable, is turning a little bit on itself. So it is extremely complicated to know exactly when it's going to be. And it seems, and then it says that Rabbi Gamliel knew and he had all kind of calculation. Well, I don't know. Each child, I promise you, even my daughter can calculate exactly when it's going to be the Moila. So how can it be? How can it be that something so complex, suddenly we are saying, no, we know exactly, and each month is the same. It's against the whole natural law. It's against reality. The month is every time is a little bit different. Sometimes it's 29 and 5 hours, sometimes it's 29 and 18 hours. So it moves. It depends. The real moilad is not the real moilad. About hours, I think it's 6 hours below and 8 hours above. So it can move. Depends each month.
18.
The hours, a few hours. It can be like yeah. What is a chelik? The word chelik is 1080 from an hour. 1080 from an hour. Yeah. There's all nice Vilna Gaon, but I'm gonna digress completely on that part. But so basically, the moilat is a mathematical number. Now, why do we use it then? Why do we use it? So the idea behind it is the following. If I want to make sure that Rosh Hashanah in 1,000 years' time, I want to make a calendar, and I need to make sure that Rosh Hashanah in 1,000 years' time will be when the moon will be new. And if I say a calendar with a number which is a bit like whatever, if I make a little mistake, what happens is then it will become, at some point, it will make that the gap, the moment that you have a gap in a calendar, then every 100 years, the gap becomes bigger and bigger. If you're not careful, what's going to happen? Rosh Hashanah will be outside. People will come out of the nice davening after the Shona Tova, all the things, they come out and they'll see a big, nice moon, a full moon. They will see what's going on here. That's not Rosh Hashanah. It has to be, these others say, Bakesel, Yom Chageinu. It has to be nearly covered, just a new moon we should be able to see. It doesn't make sense. So what the Chazals do is they calculated an average month. So they took a few hundred years of data every month, and then they just took an average. So how much is the average? Now, the average is a good average because it stabilizes. Because sometimes an average can be not stabilizing. Maybe you need a few thousand years for all the cases to come, and maybe there are some exceptions. But it seems that this average is a good average. And this is the average is 29 days, 12 hours, 793. It's the pure average of each month. So if you take that average, even 1,000 years, even 10,000 years, you will still have always with certitude that Rosh Hashanah will fall on the new moon. So that's a very easy trick. That number, 29 days, 12 hours, and 793, is the key to our calendar. And therefore Chazal, the Rambam, I think, says it's kind of an Aloch al-Mesh Sinai, but in reality, you don't need an Aloch al-Mesh Sinai. In reality, it's a simple calculation. You take a few hundred years of data, you say how many months there were, you divide by the number of months, and this gives you the number of the average. NASA made the same calculation and came to exactly the same number. So we are really extremely accurate in this calculation. So basically, it's not a difficult exercise to do. Like I said, you have to know how to add the number of days and divide by the number of months. You take all the days, few hundred years, and you divide by the number of months, and that number will be 29.5, comma, dot, 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 dot. And that comma, dot, 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 Chazal came to 793 when it stabilized. So you added on a few more months, and this number always remains the same, then you know that you came to a stabilization of the average. And so that number was used to do. So basically, it is a mathematical number. It has nothing to do with the reality. Nothing will happen on that moment. Maybe by chance something will happen. If by chance you were spot on, that's purely luck. And the chances are extremely small that something will happen on that moment. So it is completely astronomically not relevant. It's a mathematical number that we use so that I know for sure that that Rosh Hashanah, then on that day, I will be more or less in a new moon. Okay, that is the Moilad. The problem is what they do is they take away 6 hours because they think, I can't explain you, but because they think that it's not nice to make like the Christian, that is by midnight. The moment the midnight crosses over, then it's the next day. And this is a Christian thing. So they take away 6 hours from the real number because at 6 o'clock on average is, let's say, Hachodesh, Mitzvah. And so they took it away. And then they claim in the whole world we do that. It's a bit strange. The problem, halachic problem is that when we are saying, when there is a Kabbalistic idea not to say Kiddush Levona on the before the 7th day and 7 Shleimin, and so they use the Moilad as the reference to calculate the 7th day. How long? Only after 7 days we're going to make the Kiddush Levona, and that's a problem because then they're using it as if it is a real Moilad. And that the Kiddush Levona is dependent on the Hano that we have from the Levona. And for 7 days, you only have a good Hano after 7 days, the Kabbalists explain. And so therefore, the 7 days that we are going outside to see our Levona should be 7 days of the real Moilad and not of this calculated Moilad. But probably out of pragmatism, we're using this calculated Moilad.
Just a question, because since when it goes cares about it's really about Hachodesh, it's what we see for the sun for every 25 years is totally wrong. This is not even close to real with the revolution of the sun, so we don't care.
Yeah.
Probably here it's the same. So if the Chazal says today is Rosh Hachodesh, for instance, if you have Rosh Hashanah, I make a melucha on Rosh Hashanah at the beginning, I will be killed. Even if it's not actually Rosh Hashanah on the sky, because it's not. So what matters is what
You're right. You're right. But it would be embarrassing. Probably Chazal told it would be embarrassing to have Rosh Hashanah and
if it's
having
totally
a full
different,
moon.
that's different.
So they tried.
Yeah, no, but I mean for the Kabbalistic of 7 days.
Yeah.
So I understand for the Chazal, you should have still a beginning of the moon. That makes sense. Now, if it's more 1 hour extra, 1 hour less.
As long as it falls in the day,
because we institute for the people, they just need to see the opportunity. But for Kabbalistic, what matters, I would say, it's what we consider, for instance, the Rosh Hachodesh on 7th day after Rosh Hachodesh, plus minus 2-3 hours. We don't care. What matters is what the Rabbonim define as
Rosh Hachodesh, and not the Moilad. That's what you want to say. Yeah, you could have said that as well. Yeah, but it says in the Sforim, it says 7 days after the Moilad.
Yeah, but what we call a Moilad is when the Rabbonim say now it's a Moilad. When they say the left is the right and the right is the left.
But what do you mean to say? So even that number is correct. So even if it's just a number, or you want to say no, you should do it from Rosh Hachodesh?
For both. Because the thing is, it's 2 hours later, 4 hours after. Even if it's not, we don't really care.
No.
What is a Moilad is when the Rabbanim say now it's a Moilad.
No, it's a Moilad, and then we take 7 days. Okay, I accept it. Yeah, I accept it. But there it's more, do we have before you can make the brocha, you have to make a brocha when you have a certain hanoah. That's why the idea not to do it directly after. Some say not to do it the first day because it's too slow. And so therefore, I don't know, the Kabbalists already gave 7 days. And
I'm not discussing about the 7 day, I'm just saying when to start.
Yeah, because it's only Kabbalist. It's not the Yaakov typically are not very Zoharistic. Sorry, there?
Germany, I think.
7 days also, because the Romo, it's one of the Romos that I think that says about Shulchan and the Romo. Both actually agree. That's why they can't have. They want to take a risk. Yeah. The Gemara is clearly mashma that we can do straight away. Rosh Hachodesh, the Moilad, we see a little bit in making Kiddush Levona, but it came later that we should wait a bit. Then came the Romo and the Shulchan Aruch, I think, says something.
I guess I'll wait in 6 hours.
No. Because then you have another problem, which I did not mention, but you have another problem that even on Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Hashanah would fall, that Moilad, that calculated Moilad would fall on a Sunday, and you push off Rosh Hashanah. And if it falls on this whole dichuyim, sometimes you can push off Rosh Hashanah 2 days, and so that it's never going to be exact. It can be always a bit more, can be a little bit more, and that means also that therefore the days of the Rosh Chodesh, you have to put different 30 and 29. So what they do in between, they don't look at all at the Moila. Rosh Chodesh Kislev is independent of the Moila. Rosh Chodesh Kislev will be Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Shvat is coming. It's simply we do 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30 in between Rosh Hashanahs. So we try to fit it's a really number you check 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. It's independent of the Moila. So it can be quite shifted. The only thing I've heard, and I don't know why mathematically, I think that it's never going to be, the Moila never will be after the Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh will be after the Moila. But there is such a rule, but I didn't check it, and I don't know why. But there is somebody who said that. So it's good to know, because you're going to be the only ones of 99% of the people, and even Rabbonim, that are still believing that the Moila is somewhere, something happening. But the Moila that we have today is a mathematical number, independent of the real Moila. And like you said, where is the Moila then? The real one, was it Yerushalayim? Was it in the Gan Eden? Because the one that we calculate is the one in the Gan Eden. It's in Iraq somewhere, over, we don't know where, but it's the Moila that we use, the first Moila to calculate when are we going to add on. I have to calculate the first one. We use a theoretical one that was at the creation, seeming at Gan Eden. So you're looking as if somewhere by the no.
Yeah.
By this. Yeah, very good. Excellent. Excellent. I have to check it. I'll check it. Yeah.
And that's organized the whole Shiur goes
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Let's all go visit that place. Yeah. Excellent. I didn't think of that. Based on looking back. Yeah. I'll check that. It's good. I'll ask my son Yechiel. He can do that. There is a Ram here. I would like to continue. So we have the Rambam counts it all as one mitzvah. So we have two mitzvahs. The Ram counts it as one mitzvah. And the question that I wanted to ask, why does Ram count as one mitzvah? The two mitzvahs are separate. One of them is how long is a month, and one of them how long is a year. I would like to discuss that. But before I'm going to do that, there is a very interesting Ram. The Ram in the Dorim, who learned Achayomi? What? Nobody learns Achayomi? Okay. There's the Ram in the Dorim. Yeah. There's a Ram in the Dorim in Daf Ein Ches. Daf Ein Ches, it says, Shabbos Bereishis, Eino Tzricho Kiddush Bezen. A special limud of the Gemara, a special limud, that Shabbos Bereishis doesn't need a Kiddush Bezen. You don't need a Kiddush Bezen for Shabbos. So normally, I would expect to say that you don't need to be Mekadosh them Shabbos. Bezen does not have to say today is Shabbos. Like you do, today is Rosh Chodesh. You don't have to say today is Shabbos. So what does the Ran say? She'ein Bezen tzrichen lekadosh echot b'Shabbos, kedei la'asos shvi lo Shabbos. So the Ran says that you don't have to do Sunday, to say Sunday, Mekadosh them Sunday, so that the seventh day would be Shabbos. Shil Shabbos, yeah, that's what we do. But the Ram says that the Havamina would be that if you would say that Shabbos Bereshis requires Kiddush Bezdin, like Rosh Chodesh, like Yom Tov, etc. But Shabbos Bereshis no. What does it mean? What does it mean that it would require Kiddush Bezdin? So normally I would have learned that what we do the Kiddush home, that this has to be done by the Bezdin. If Bezdin doesn't do it, it's not Shabbos. But it depends on the Shabbos of the Kiddush of the Bezdin. Bezdin decide if it's Shabbos or not. So the Ram goes very interesting. He says no, that you don't have to say that Sunday, you don't have to be Mekadosh them Sunday, so that the Shabbos would be the seventh day. Because you need the seventh day. I understand the Ram. You need the 7 days. So how do I count one? So he explains that you don't have to be Mekadosh the first day, in order for the Shabbos to be Shabbos, but the Shabbos becomes Shabbos even if the Beis Din does not claim and say that this is the first of the week. Okay, very difficult Ram, and I would like to explain that Ram according to how the Rambam, or maybe the Rambam understood. So, L'choire, what does it mean, Kiddush Hachodesh? In the Posuk, I don't have a Chumash, Hachodesh hazeh lochem, Rishon hu lochem lochot she'ashono. Yeah. Just I will read it inside, but to read the Torah Shebechsad inside. Yeah, but it's in inside. Thank you. Hachodesh hazeh lochem, Rosh Chodoshim, Rishon hu lochem lochot she'ashono. So from here we learn Kiddush Hachodesh. Where does it say here Kiddush Hachodesh? Hachodesh hazeh lochem Rosh Chodoshim, Rishon hu lochem lochot she'ashono. That Chodesh, of month of Nisan, will be the first, the Rosh, the head of the Chodoshim, the first one lochem lochot she'ashono for all the month of the year. Where does it speak about Kiddush Hachodesh? So the only thing that you can say is because it says Hachodesh hazeh. So he pointed out. So Chazal explained that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe had difficulty with the Moila, how much, etc. So the Rebbeinu Shalom showed him with the finger, showed him this is how Rosh Chodesh has to be, and so from here we learn the Kiddush HaChodesh. So kind of an hazeh, because it says hazeh, it's like and lochem also that lochem and it has to be done by a Beis Din, it's not in Hashemayim. Okay, so they limudim. But in the Posuk, says something completely else, which Chazal don't take over. That Rosh Chodesh, Nisa, is the beginning of the first month that will be called the first month for all the months of the year. So the Rambam indeed holds that besides Kiddush HaChodesh, there is also an Isur min HaTorah, very important. There is an Isur min HaTorah to call another month the first month of the year. There's Isur min HaTorah. And we have to be careful. Because when you ask, our children ask us, when is the first month of the year? What do we say? Tishrei. And it's Isur min HaTorah. Ramban says you have to say, Torah says Poshut, that it should be Rishon hu lochem, L'chot she'ashono, should be the first one. What does it mean? That it's true that agriculturally the first month is Tishrei, but from a national perspective, since this is the month that you became a nation, our national Independence Day and our calendar should be based on that is on Nisan. It's the month that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out from Mitzrayim. So this is our identity, and this is our calendar. Our religious calendar should start from Nisan and not from Tishrei. You can do Tishrei. There is a lot of things that we do on Tishrei. Tishrei starts off, Shemitah starts on Tishrei, yeah? So it's not really Rosh Hashanah, but it has to be when somebody asks you, what is your first month? You have to answer Nisan. You have to answer Nisan. So this is the Rambam. But let's maybe think it a little bit through, a little bit further. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that the first month that you're going to call the first month will be also the month that you will have to bring the Korban Pesach, and that month has to be the month of spring, Hachodesh Ovid. So in other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that this month, which is a month of spring, should be the first month of the year. So how does it work? So every month you have a month, and when you start a new month, so how are you going to call it? If the previous month was the third month, you would call it fourth. It comes automatic. Third before, then the next one is fourth. each month it becomes next month will be the 5th, etc. So basically, when do you have to define the Rosh Chodesh, when you have to define this Nisan, is when you come to a month that you see that this month is going to be spring, the beginning of the spring, of the 4 seasons of the sun, then you have to define that month as the first. So the only month that you have to do something is on the first of the month. By itself, automatically the second will be the second because it's after the first. The first, you just say, this month is going to be our month, the first of the month. This is going to be our, the Hachodesh or Rishonu L'Chodshei Hashona. This is going to be the Rishon. And that's, sorry? On the Shona Muberes, automatically.
The 13th month, spring.
So the 13th month just continues. So the only one that really has to be done something by hand, that you have to do something, is the first. So automatically, Ibur Shono in Kiddush Hachodesh is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing because all the other months are done automatically. The only month that you have to do something is Hachodesh Hazeh Lochem. This is on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That's when you decide that this is now the first. So when you have a cycle, you always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's automatically. Always the 1 is the decision that you do. And then you start again counting 1, then you start again. But it is the 1 that is the decision that all the rest follows from that. And so the Kiddush HaChodesh, as literal, as from a textual perspective, is that on that day, you have to decide today is the first. And because that I decide today is the first, that's what makes it that this is going to be the month that we're going to bring the Korban Pesach. The Korban Pesach will bring only on the first of the month, the first month of the year. And so the Kiddush HaChodesh, which means the Chodesh of Nisan, is the same as Ibur Shono. There's no 2 mitzvahs. It is the same. It's just to decide when is going to be the Chodesh Nisan. And so the Rambam cannot count it as 2 because the whole idea of the Kiddush HaChodesh is to dedicate. Kiddush means to dedicate the Chodesh of the first month of the spring, to dedicate it as the first, as the Rishon. And then the rest will follow. Theoretically, if Bezdin needs, we'll do 14 months in a year or 10 months in a year. I don't care. I mean, it's not a problem. Yeah, as long as the first is in spring. If they made a mistake or there were problems and there was a war and whatever it is, we need to define the first month has to be the month of the spring. If, for example, there was no Bezdin and there were in the war,
it was terrible weather.
They cannot, yeah, but then
the winter extended.
No, but you have 2 conditions. That's the first one has to spring and at least.
who says that?
Because you have Tishrei, then you have.
You can jump.
You have only Tishri, 7 months.
But
The only
Tishrei
month.
is 3 months before the year.
Sure, you have maybe Sivan, maybe. So you need Sivan, but theoretically you can have short as well. I didn't see it. I never saw, maybe I missed it. I never saw that there is a condition that cannot be less than 12. More than 13.
No, me too. I never seen.
I never seen anywhere. So
Tishrei has to be on autumn.
what? Sorry.
Tishrei has to be on autumn. That's written like that. So
Yeah.
Okay. Nisan has to be so it's anyway it's on the 2 sides of the.
But theoretically there is no.
Okay, you mean.
So basically the whole idea is that it is Kiddush HaChodesh. The mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh is to count the first month as number 1, and all the rest follows by itself. So there is no inyan to do be'etzem a Kiddush HaChodesh for the other months as well, because they ask the question, what is the Kiddush HaChodesh of the Rosh Chodesh? Why do every Rosh Chodesh we have to do Kiddush HaChodesh? So on Nisan it's clear because that's the posuk goes on Nisan. But what about the other months? Why do we have to do a Kiddush HaChodesh from the other month? And so on some of the Rishonim want to explain that you need to do a Kiddush HaChodesh so that the Yom Tov that is in that month will be Mekudash. So without the Kiddush HaChodesh of the Bezdin, The Yom Tovim don't have a Kiddush. So the Hachodesh would not, the Yom Tov would not be Chal if the Bezdin are not Mekadosh the Hachodesh. Oh, then you would only need two, which is Tishri and Nisan. But this, in any case, is a bit difficult because it means if the Bezdin do not make a Kiddush, if they forgot, didn't have the time, then there is no Yom Tov. And there is a ritual like that. I once spoke to you that once how they made the trick how to not have Yom Kippur. I don't know if you remember. Once I gave a shir that the ritual explains that there was 1 year they tricked the Bezdin Shel Malo. They tricked it. They made the Rosh Chodesh. They made Rosh Chodesh on the 30th day, not the 31st. So they already koveya, but they were not Mekadosh yet. But they were koveya. This is Rosh Chodesh, and they did not make a Kiddush. They did not say Mekudesh. So Min HaShamayim, they could not be Mekadosh the next day because the Bezdin Shel Mato decided it's going to be a short month, and they did not make a Kiddush, and so that month there was no Rosh Hashanah, no Yom Kippur, no Sukkot. That's all. I think it's the Ritvo. Abel Kowalski explains it like that in the Ritvo. I think it's a Ritvo. But that's one of the ways. But again, the question is why? What about the other months? Nobody understands. There is even Tanoim that held that there was no Kiddush. There are always 4 Tanoim. I don't know if those who have learned it. There's one Tana that holds that they did both days. They were Mekadosh, Areze Mekudesh. It doesn't have to say. Some Tanoim says only the first, only the 30th. Other Tanoim says only the 31st and not the 30th. Another Tanoim says that I said both, the first and none. There is no Kiddush. So there is a Tanu who holds that there was never Kiddush. Never said it. Doesn't never said it. So it seems that it's not so clear. If a never, they never said any Kiddush. There was no Kiddush. There's no Kiddush. That's what there's a Tana. So how can a Tana say on something which is so basic? But it seems that the whole Kiddush Hachodesh is not something which is like, written in stone. It's not something which is Torah Shebechsav, but it's more Torah Shebal Peh, and on Torah Shebal Peh you can have Machloek. So what does this Kedusha come from? So I will give you my own answer. And it's a Kiddush that I want to say. And if you don't like it, like I said, you just drop it in the bin straight away. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to be upset. But it's a Kiddush that I wanted to say. That in the Nacht, in the Novi, it is mashma that the Novi is mashma that on Rosh Chodesh, one did not make a melocha. There is a posuk where Yonasan speaks to David HaMelech. At the time, he was not yet. He speaks to him and he says to him that today is a Yom Maser. Tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh. It was Erev Rosh Chodesh, and he says today we do melocha, but tomorrow not. Sorry. Yeah. So because it says and so the Targum Yon says because tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh, it's not B'yom Dechul. So you see here that the Rosh Chodesh is not the Yom HaMaaseh. And it's a bit difficult to understand because we know the Bavli, Rav Zevin brings down 3 places where it's clear that Rosh Chodesh you're allowed to do a melocha. So I would like to introduce that theoretically, in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, since if you look in the Psukim clearly, Rosh Chodesh is like a strange, odd, how do you say, something that does not fit. Start with Shabbos, Besasa Melocha, bring Musaf Shabbos, Besasa Melocha. Rosh Chodesh you have to bring Musaf, but it doesn't say Besasa Melocha. Then he continues with Pesach, bring Musaf, Besasa Melocha, etc., etc. Then he continues all the Yom Tov. So it makes sense to say that on Rosh Chodesh, as about the binyan now, like you bring a Musaf, that the common denominator, it's is that they bring a Musaf. All of them are not allowed to make a melocha. So Rosh Chodesh also, there is show that the idea, right? Also in Chol HaMoed, so Chol HaMoed and what? There is kind of an Isur Melocha, not an Isur Melocha like Shabbos, And not the Nisim Melucha like Yom Tov, but the Nisim Melucha like Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed and Rosh Chodesh are combined. The Atak Chazal are saying that there is an union of women not to do a Melucha. There is still some remnant of that Isur Melucha that existed from the time of the Nevi'im. Sorry? Oh, so there is clearly that there are some things that there used to be much more harm, and today it is less. And even husbands today should not ask a woman, wife, to do melucha. Himself should not do. There is in Halucha a bit of there is. Oh, so I want to say it's Ari Porush saying that because in the beginning there was an Isur Melucha, it seems partial to an apostle. What can I do? There's an apostle, and so there was an Isur Melucha. That's still a remnant. That Chazal were mevatel that Isur Melucha, the shvisa of Melucha, Chazal were mevatel after the Churban, because I'll explain why. But in any case, so it was mevutel, and there is still a remnant that women don't do Melucha. Similarly, like Hanukkah also, I explained to Hanukkah also, there is an Indian not to do Melucha during the lighting. The women don't do Melucha. Similarly, because it was the Hashmonai wanted, initially they made the Yom Tov properly Yom Tov 8 days. Mamish Yom Tov like so. And so for that, Hazal said no. Yom Tov, no. The Hachodesh and the Hallel, yes. Ponchkes, maybe. Latkes, of course. But more than that, we don't do.
Just the story with David Melech, before he came Melech on Rosh Chodesh, when he was invited by to make the party in Rosh Chodesh. And he, when he tricked, and he left with his horse, I guess, and everything, and Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah, okay, but so the host,
you can say it's
not the Isum, maybe the Rabbanon only. The horse going on a horse is only Yishem, or maybe he's going to take out the Rabbanon, which maybe was not a takona in the time of David HaMelech. I don't know. The Isum Machama, there is a problem with Machama, but apparently the Chazal I don't understand why, but you're allowed to go on a horse on Shabbos. I think. I'm not. You're right. Maybe that's a proof that.
I don't know.
I think that the issue of riding and
if I'm right, because of his wives are trying to trick. They took the whatever part of the animal to make like he was sleeping in his bed. Yeah. So he killed it the same day.
Well, maybe it was Nefesh or
you can always say. I was about to tell you, but there was no imminent death here.
But it's possible that it's an Isur Melucha like Cholamoid. That it is kind of Isur Melucha like Cholamoid. Could be. It has a lower level. It's like Cholamoid, you're allowed to kill. There's only a particular thing you're not allowed. I don't know. But it seems that this is the idea behind that is that a day that you bring a Musaf was a day that people didn't do a Melucha. That is not, as I've seen already, I think in the Shagisari, I've seen it already brought down that the reason why we don't make Meluchas is because of the Musaf. That it is the Chiv Musaf that is giving us the idea of that creates that day that this should be a day that we should not make a Melucha. And it could be that after the first Churban Abayis, even during the second Churban Abayis, since there was no more the Reach Nichoya, Reach Nichoya Hashem disappeared. The second Beis Hamikdash was only a technical house that we do the Avodas Hashem. There was some Nisim, but it was less of. There was not the Gilui Shechina as existed in the beginning, and so therefore the Musaf is also not as strong. And therefore already Chazal said that we are going to take away the Yom Tov from the Rosh Chodesh. Maybe because, and that's why I want to, with discussion I had with you, Rav Moshe, on maybe the idea behind that, and now I'm already digressing strongly, that Rosh Chodesh is hopeful, it's about hope. What is Rosh Chodesh? Rosh Chodesh is, when do we start the Rosh Chodesh? When there is a first light, there is darkness, Sunday is a light, but it is about hope and light. And therefore we celebrate light. We have when the Beis Hamikdash was horror, and we start the Nevi'im stopped, and we start moment of darkness, then don't celebrate light. We are in a moment of darkness. So there is no reason to celebrate. The Levona is a symbol of the Golus. It's used a lot of the symbol as a Golus. When Moshiach will come, the Levona will shine like the sun. So the Levona is a symbol of the. So this Chachus Levona is something that will happen later, but not now. Now is not the moment to celebrate the Ischachus of the Levona, because we are in Golus. And so therefore, the idea behind that is that we don't celebrate the coming of light. And similarly, maybe that's why we don't start the day from the Netzach Hamor, but we start the day from the night. Like in Gan Eden, the night started from Yom Echad, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi. So the day started from the morning. Comes the morning, a new day. It's a new day. It's nice. It's hopeful. The night was already past, but we are in Golus. So by us, the day starts in the night. But it shows us that we are hopeful that one day it will come. But now we are in the night, so therefore the day starts in the night. Because the question is, when did we move? The question is, when did we move from night, that the night is the beginning of the day? When did we move? So the Achlo says that Matan Torah. Matan Torah, the day started from the night and not from the morning.
That's choice.
Sorry?
That was a choice event.
Matan Torah, yeah.
It should have been light.
Yeah. So that's the why did the Dafke should be night first? I don't know. Yeah. But the other way to explain it is that it is from the Churban Abayis. That originally maybe tackling the Torah, it was originally the day started in the morning, and then it moved to the night, and therefore the whole discussion with the Ben Ezra that had the letter of Shabbos. There's a whole story. I'm not going to do it again. That the Rashbam holds that the day starts from the day. That's the real Yom HaShabbos is from Saturday morning till Sunday morning. That's the Rashbam holds. That originally this was the Shabbos, and that somehow it changed from Friday night till Motzei Shabbos, till Saturday night. Sorry? Yeah. Also, it's on the same day, so it's like. No, but we have to be shechted in the day, in Abayim, and then in Balaylo. Who says? That's my question. So the only Yom Tov that you can prove against me is Yom Kippur, the Erev Adar. So that's where I have the only Rai that you can bring me is Yom Kippur. There says no push me Erev at Erev. And so there my whole shot falls into drain. But then maybe if you can find another Raya to support, and then we can say Yom Kippur is an exception. You understand? Why? So it's too late already.
No, when you see at night. Now it starts.
Night, then you make
so it starts from night.
It starts from night. Okay, yeah, stop the point. I understand practically, because otherwise it would be always after the fact. Okay, I'll take my words back. No, it's a good point. I like it. I like it. So we have two Rayas. We have Yom Kippur and the Rosh Chodesh itself. There is something very interesting. I once saw, and I will finish with that. I always see this strange theory. There was a guy on the internet. He was extremely frustrated with Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, all the Rabbonim. He was extremely frustrated. And he says all the Rabbonim, they corrupted the Torah, etc. And then suddenly he started to do a whole website where he proves crazy things. And one of the crazy things that he said, but I liked it very much, because I like every time people saying things which are a bit outside of the box, but I thought it was crazy. And he says that Shabbos is Shabbos. So one second, go back to the Ran. Yeah. So now the Ran is very understandable with the Rambam, that we have to be Mekadesh the Sunday in order to be the seventh day. So the Kiddush Hachodesh is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, is the first of the year, so that all the months should follow it. So that's the Kiddush. Kiddush Hachodesh means the first day always, first month. So you dedicated the first in the cycle. So you always have to dedicate the first, and then the seventh is Shabbos. That's what the Ran means. So the Ran is like the Rambam, like I explained you the Rambam. But okay, so that's just to go back. So he says the following. He says that they are crazy, those Rabbonim. The Shabbos is always the Shvi. Yom HaShvi means the Shvi Shel HaChodesh, 7th of the month. And that's it's nice. It's crazy. It goes against all our tradition. And so I saw you understand? So the 7th of the month is always Shabbos for him. And then the 14th, and then the 21st, and then the 28th. And then you have between the 28th and the 7th, you have probably 9 days to the next Shabbos. There is in the Shittum Kubetzes brings down under the aim that on this run, on this question, why Shabbos doesn't need Kiddush Hachodesh, Kiddush Besdin, so that the Havamina would have been, the Havamina, that we need a posuk to tell us no, is that Shabbos, the Shvi, means the Shvi Shel HaChodesh. Why? Maybe Shvi means the 7th of each month. So the Torah tells us, no, that Moed Hashem, but not Shabbos. Shabbos is not Moed Hashem. It's not dependent on the month. So you see that there is such a Havamina, that you need a posuk. Already, a Havamina from the Torah is also Havamina. You need to understand the Havamina. So this person, which was crazy, but he said something which I can find back in the Rishonim. So the Shittum Kubetzes brings down. I have it in. You can find it in Oiz V'Hodo at the end on this stuff, where he explains it that the Havamina would have been that Shabbos is always on the 7th of the month, then maybe either only the 7th, and then it's only Shabbos only 1 day in the month, or 7:14. This is not clear. To the B'Les Olam, I agree.
Every 7 days.
Yeah, Shabbos b'Shabbat. So it's like there is such an expression, but there is such a Havamina, the aim. So I just wanted to, there is even in as Mali says sometimes, or I don't know, that even in Avodah Zorah and even in crazy ideas, there is always a little nitzoitzes of truth. Even in the Tumah, there is a little nitzoitzes of Kedusha. That when you hear crazy things which are completely out of things, always think that there is, you might find back. And it's when I saw that, and I saw it in the Mefokshim, I got a big shock, because it was like, I remember this crazy guy on the internet who said such a theory, and there is such a Mekor, at least there is a Havamina in the Torah according to the Re'im in the Shittum Kubetzes. But I just wanted to finish off with that. So, in short, please, Moilad, don't ask this question again. You should never ask this question again. You should know the Moilad that we have is a pure mathematical number that is based on the average, that we take a starting point. That question, what is a starting point, is a different discussion. But in every time we take a starting point, you always add this number to that starting. And so this number means nothing in astronomical perspective. It only means that if I want to make Rosh Chodesh on that day, I have a big chance that it's going to be continuously around the new moon. Yeah, because they didn't do with this average. So they wanted each Rosh Chodesh had to be on the real day of the Moilad, of the real Moilad. But since by us we don't do on the real Moilad, only Rosh Hashanah, we want it to be on the real Moilad, and even then we don't, because if it was on Sunday, we push up. If it was on when Adliad Rosh, we don't mind. We don't even mind about it that it's a bit later. But we try to do it as much as possible on this Bakesel Yom Pagel, and so therefore we do. But the middle is definitively nothing to do. It's 29:30, 29:30. That is nothing to do with Rosh Chodesh with the moon and the Moilad also. And the reason why they take up 6 hours is ridiculous, and it's even wrong, because they should take out 6 hours according to the Tzesak Kochovim of that day in Yerushalayim, if they want. And it's even that is wrong, because the clock in Yerushalayim is also wrong, because it's based on the fact that this all Eretz Yisrael has the same clock. Every city has its own clock. So they have its own clock when it's midday. It's the whole system is it does not make sense. It's not correct. And the second point I want to explain you is that Kiddush HaChodesh Nibushon, according to the Rambam, might be, my explanation, might be one mitzvah, because the only mitzvah is to do that Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the first day of the first month, and that is our Independence Day, our real Rosh Hashanah of our nation, and that the Rambam says that the person should not start from Tishrei, but should start actually from Nisan to count. That is nearly a posuk mefurish in the Torah, which Chazal don't say, but the Rambam, he mentions it. And I explained you why do we still say Kiddush HaChodesh even on the other month. So some say because of the Chagim, but then your question is only Tishrei and Nissan, but all Kislev and Tevis, we should not say Kiddush. What is the Kiddush? And so I explained you that maybe because originally it was Mekudesh like Shabbos and Yom Tov, because there was no Isur Melocha, because on the time of the Melochim, they were not doing a Melocha on Rosh Chodesh, and that this disappeared. Why it disappeared? Either because the Sanhedrin decided it's too difficult, or, as I explained you, Rosh Chodesh is the symbol of the Geula. And to make a Yom Tov on a symbol of a Geula while we are in the Golus, that's already, it's a bit of a tach disaster. And so therefore, the Chazal, they have the power to say that such a limud, binyan av, to learn, because there is a Musaf here, this Bezdin, that any Bezdin can annul, can cancel a limud of another Bezdin, as the Rambam explains, and therefore we don't have any Isur Melocha today. Only some remnants, a minig for women, and some for men as well, some who, but there is a little bit that we should still not do a Melocha. And then I explained you the interesting Havamin. It's good to know that Shabbos would have been on the 7th of each month. Yom HaShvi means Yom HaShvi L'Chodesh, that each 7th would be Shabbos. And for this we have a posuk in Medorim that learns that it is not. Maybe we zoich it to the Bias Goel B'Meiro B'Yomeinu Amen. What? Yeah, Herzetzat, exactly. Next week, I would like to change a little bit. I'll leave it on. Maybe I'll stop the recording.